Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dalton, Illinois, has found herself at the center of a scandal that has shaken the very foundation of this once promising community. Amid mounting financial ruin, controversy surrounding her leadership, and a string of disastrous decisions, Henyard's time in office has been marked by reckless spending, misuse of taxpayer funds, and an alarming disregard for the welfare of the town she was elected to serve. As the investigation into her actions intensifies, it's becoming increasingly clear that Henyard's tenure as mayor may well go down in history as one of the most disastrous in the town's history. Located just 22 miles from Chicago, Dalton has become a focal point of scrutiny, with residents and public officials alike demanding answers for Henyard's mismanagement. Rumors about her strained relationships with the local church and her desperate attempts to raise $10 million on GoFundMe to sustain her lavish lifestyle have fueled a growing fire of controversy. Creditors are closing in, with lawsuits flying as they seek repayment for her mounting debts. Once a rising political star, Henyard now faces the harsh reality of potential bankruptcy, criminal investigations, and public outrage. The scandal began in March 2024, when it was revealed that Henyard had misappropriated taxpayer funds for personal expenses, treating the town's budget as her piggy bank. This revelation sparked widespread outrage among Dalton's residents, leading to tense public meetings where one resident demanded that Henyard step down to prevent further harm to the village. At a time when Dalton was already struggling to pay its bills, Henyard's reckless spending left the town on the brink of financial collapse. The mayor's financial mismanagement was not limited to the town's budget. Henyard had also taken out hefty personal loans amounting to millions of dollars, which he is now unable to repay. Reports indicate that even police department cars are on the verge of repossession due to Dalton's financial struggles. As Henyard's actions continue to come to light, it's clear that her financial woes are directly linked to the future of Dalton itself. The chaos surrounding her began to snowball, and it became evident that Henyard was willing to sacrifice the community's well-being in pursuit of her selfish desires. Perhaps the most alarming of Henyard's actions was her handling of the Section 8 housing program, which was meant to provide affordable housing for low-income families. Instead of using the funds for necessary repairs and improvements to the program, Henyard allegedly squandered the money on lavish trips to Las Vegas. While vulnerable families were left in precarious living situations, Henyard was reportedly living a life of excess. Her behavior was a clear violation of the trust placed in her by the people of Dalton, and it only deepened the community's sense of betrayal. In addition to the squandered Section 8 funds, Henyard's extravagant spending habits reached shocking new heights. Reports emerged detailing how she spent $40,000 on Amazon in just a few months, while Dalton was left grappling with mounting financial issues. This lavish spending continued to paint a stark contrast between Henyard's indulgences and the growing financial struggles of the village she was supposed to serve. Residents expressed their frustration, pointing out that Henyard seemed to have money for personal luxuries, but none to address the town's growing debt. As the situation spiraled out of control, the FBI became involved, launching a serious criminal investigation into Henyard's financial dealings. The agency issued subpoenas for everything from Henyard's transactions to the entire town's financial history. This investigation signaled a shift in the narrative. Henyard was no longer just a controversial politician, but a public official under scrutiny for possible criminal behavior. The more the FBI dug, the clearer it became that Henyard's leadership had been characterized by a staggering level of incompetence and corruption. The revelations that followed only added to the public's outrage. Henyard's once promising political career, built on a platform of reform and community service, was now tarnished by scandal and financial ruin. In many ways, the investigation served as a painful reminder of the devastating consequences that can arise when those in positions of power misuse their authority and betray the trust of their constituents. As the FBI probe continued, more details about Henyard's financial mismanagement came to light, painting an even darker picture of her actions in office. Beyond the lavish Las Vegas vacations, Henyard's spending spree reportedly included high-end cars, extravagant trips to exclusive resorts, and a security detail that rivaled that of Hollywood celebrities. Her indulgences seemed endless, even as the town she was elected to serve struggled to make ends meet. Henyard's financial troubles also became a matter of public concern when it was revealed that she had sought loans from various creditors, even as Dalton's finances were in disarray. These loans were reportedly used to fund her lavish lifestyle, including purchasing luxury cars and funding expensive vacations. Meanwhile, the town of Dalton was left to grapple with a growing mountain of debt. Struggling to meet its financial obligations and provide essential services to its residents, the situation reached a breaking point when it became clear that Henyard had failed to fulfill the most basic duties of her office, including overseeing critical municipal programs and ensuring that taxpayer dollars were spent responsibly. The Section 8 housing debacle was only the tip of the iceberg, as more and more residents came forward with stories of unfulfilled promises and mismanaged resources. The erosion of trust in Henyard's leadership was swift and profound, with many calling for her resignation as the investigation into her actions continued. Henyard's refusal to step down only fueled public anger, as it became apparent that she was more concerned with maintaining her lifestyle than addressing the needs of her constituents. The public's frustration reached a boiling point, culminating in protests and calls for accountability from the town's leaders. Yet, despite the mounting pressure, Henyard continued to hold on to her position, even as her political career and reputation crumbled before her eyes. As the scandal deepened, the residents of Dalton were left to pick up the pieces of a community that had been torn apart by Henyard's actions. The financial collapse of the town, combined with the erosion of public trust, left the future of Dalton in doubt. The damage caused by Henyard's leadership would take years to repair, and the community was left to wonder how they could move forward in the wake of such a devastating betrayal looking ahead. It's clear that Tiffany Henyard's time as mayor will be remembered not for any accomplishments or positive changes she may have made, but for the reckless and selfish decisions that brought Dalton to the brink of financial collapse. As the FBI investigation unfolds and more shocking revelations emerge, Henyard's leadership will forever be defined by the disregard she showed for the people she was meant to serve. Her actions have left an indelible mark on Dalton, one that will take years to undo. And as the dust settles, one thing remains certain. Henyard's fall from grace serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of corruption, financial mismanagement, and the abandonment of public duty. Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dalton, Illinois, finds herself in the eye of a storm, her leadership now defined by scandal, financial mismanagement, and an apparent disregard for the very community she swore to serve. As Dalton struggles with a mounting financial crisis and a growing sense of betrayal, Henyard's tenure as mayor has gone from one of promise to a cautionary tale of how the abuse of power and neglect of public duty can lead to disastrous consequences. In the wake of the fallout from her reckless decisions, Henyard's actions, and her attempts to escape the financial ruin she has caused, are now the focal point of widespread public outrage. Henyard, once considered a rising political figure, has revealed herself to be anything but the responsible leader the people of Dalton had hoped for. Instead of using her position to improve infrastructure, fund vital services, and address pressing issues within the community, Henyard used the town's finances to fuel her own personal luxuries. From high-end cars to extravagant trips, she misused taxpayer funds meant to serve the people of Dalton, for her own enjoyment, rather than serving the community. She appeared to view the mayor's office as an endless fountain of money, one that could be tapped for indulgences with no thought to the repercussions. As Henyard's actions became public, Dalton's financial situation deteriorated rapidly, with bills piling up, services going unfunded, and crucial programs left to languish. It became apparent that Henyard's leadership had placed the town on the brink of financial collapse. Her personal spending habits, fueled by taxpayer money, only exacerbated the situation. A town already struggling with its finances was left to bear the consequences of her reckless actions now. As Henyard approaches the brink of bankruptcy, she has resorted to asking the public for help. Turning to online platforms, such as GoFundMe, Henyard has attempted to raise money to cover her mounting debts. This move has sparked outrage across social media, with many people shocked by her audacity to seek assistance after she put herself in this position in the first place. One commenter bluntly pointed out, "She put herself in this mess. How dare she ask for help? I won't donate a cent." Another commenter highlighted the glaring contradiction, saying, "She has over $300,000 in income and can't pay her bills." The backlash has been swift and unforgiving. Henyard's already tarnished public image is now suffering further damage, as many in the community feel her plea for donations is an insult. A person who once had access to thousands in taxpayer dollars, only to spend it on personal luxuries, is now asking for money to cover her personal debts. The irony has not been lost on Dalton's residents, many of whom feel betrayed and deeply disillusioned by the actions of their former mayor. Despite the growing outrage, Henyard has not accepted full responsibility for her actions. In fact, her response has been to deflect blame and avoid accountability, which has only deepened the crisis. Instead of admitting the severity of her mistakes, she has tried to portray herself as a victim of circumstances, a tactic that has failed to resonate with the public. Her refusal to own up to her misdeeds has fueled even more controversy, with many residents questioning her integrity and competence. Rather than lying low and showing humility, Henyard has opted to continue deflecting blame onto others. She seems more focused on making excuses for her behavior than accepting the consequences of her actions. The community that once entrusted her with their vote is now left to deal with the fallout from her irresponsible leadership. With each passing day, It becomes clearer that Henyard is unwilling to take responsibility for the damage she has caused to the town, and its residents' her refusal to acknowledge the full extent of her actions has only made matters worse. The situation has escalated, and as more details about her financial mismanagement come to light, the public's anger grows. Dalton's residents feel betrayed by a leader who promised to serve their best interests, but instead exploited her position for personal gain. As more revelations emerge, the trust that was once placed in Henyard is completely gone, replaced with anger, frustration, and a sense of disbelief. Henyard's financial troubles were not confined to the lavish personal purchases that caught public attention. She reportedly borrowed from every possible direction to fund her lifestyle, creating a web of debt that has now come crashing down around her. In a desperate attempt to keep up with her financial obligations, Henyard turned to personal loans, using public assets as collateral. The town of Dalton, which she was supposed to serve, was now being used to secure her personal financial gains. An egregious breach of trust is reckless borrowing, and using public property as collateral only compounded the town's financial difficulties. When these actions came to light, the community was rightfully outraged. Local residents began demanding accountability for Henyard's reckless decisions, and the situation has only escalated as more and more details about her financial mismanagement surface. The fact that Henyard used public resources for personal loans added another layer of scandal to her already tarnished reputation. The very assets that were meant to benefit Dalton, assets funded by the taxpayers, were now being gambled with to fuel Henyard's indulgent lifestyle. The community's anger has been palpable, with residents voicing their frustration and calling for justice. In her latest move, Henyard has turned to online fundraising in a desperate attempt to save herself from financial ruin. Her GoFundMe campaign, launched in a bid to cover her debts, has been widely criticized. Many are stunned that the same woman who once squandered hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal luxuries is now asking for donations to escape a financial disaster of her own making. One source described Henyard as operating in a lawless island, where her personal and political interests consistently took precedence over the needs of Dalton. To make matters worse, Henyard's appeal for funds has been seen as a final insult to the very people she has harmed. The community that once trusted her is now being asked to bail her out of a situation she created. This sense of irony is not lost on Dalton's residents, who remember all too well how Henyard spent money on high-end cars, lavish trips, and security details while the town faced crippling debt. Henyard's campaign has raised a paltry $115,000, far short of the $10 million she hoped to raise. And despite the money she's raised, there is little support for her cause. Social media has been flooded with negative comments, with one user remarking, "The fact that she isn't in prison yet is just as bad as the crime she's committed." Another added, "How dare she ask those she stole from to bail her out of $10 million debt? The delusion is real. She belongs in prison." As more revelations about Henyard's spending habits continue to emerge, it has led many to speculate that she may be planning a dramatic escape. Some have suggested that she could use the funds from her online campaign to flee Dalton, or even the country, especially after reports surfaced revealing that she spent an eye-watering $888,000 on makeup in 2023. This figure has only fueled suspicions that Henyard may be looking to escape the consequences of her reckless financial decisions by retreating to a distant island, far away from the legal troubles that now surround her one resident. Reflecting on the severity of Dalton's financial crisis, said, "The last bank statement I saw was in September, and we were $7 million in debt." This has led many to wonder what is going on behind the scenes. Is Henyard truly facing financial ruin, or is she simply using her fundraising campaign as a way to scam the public one last time before disappearing for good? With each passing day, public sentiment grows more negative, and residents become more suspicious of her motives. The people of Dalton are furious. They refuse to let Henyard off the hook easily, and their anger is palpable. They remember every penny she spent on personal luxuries, every moment of her leadership that was marked by financial irresponsibility, and every broken promise she made to the community. While Henyard seeks sympathy, the people of Dalton are left to grapple with the financial disaster she created. Her attempts to raise funds for herself have only added to her already tarnished public image. The idea that Henyard expects others to clean up the mess she made is seen by many as an insult. Dalton's residents are no longer willing to let her escape the consequences of her actions. They demand accountability, justice, and an acknowledgement of the damage she has caused as the investigation into Henyard's actions continues. More revelations are expected to come to light, further tarnishing her reputation. Her time as mayor will not be remembered for any accomplishments, but for the destruction she caused the community she was meant to serve. The full scope of her financial mismanagement and corruption is yet to be fully revealed, but one thing is certain. Henyard will go down in history as a cautionary tale about the dangers of abuse of power, financial recklessness, and a complete disregard for public trust the people of Dalton may have once trusted Henyard with their votes. But now, as they struggle to pick up the pieces of a town on the brink of collapse, they will no longer let her off the hook. The demand for justice grows stronger with each passing day, and it seems clear that Henyard's attempts to escape the consequences of her actions will not be allowed to succeed.